Hey everyone, welcome to a little chat about allowance. Oh my goodness, what is allowance? Well, if you look in the dictionary, it's actually about receiving money. How many of you received an allowance at the end of the week when you were a good boy and a good girl and you did all your errands? Well, I'd like to introduce you to something completely different. What if allowance is, well, we say being in allowance of you, being in allowance of everything around you. And what I see a lot of people misidentify with allowance is you go, oh, if you're an allowance of this, or you're an allowance of this relationship, you're an allowance of, this person, you are in allowance of your business, you're in allowance of money, you're in allowance of your body, allowance of your kids, of your parents. How many of you go, is that being lazy? Is that actually not caring? No. What if it's something completely different? What if being in allowance is not judging? What if being in allowance is being totally okay with what's showing up? I mean, how many of you out there are control freaks? Hello. It's a control freak. So if you're a control freak and also you're trying to create this predictable life, and guess what? Breaking news. Not one day of your life shows up the way you think it's going to, right? So at the end of the day, are you in allowance of what showed up? Because the more you can be in allowance, the more you actually receive. So just pick a relationship, any relationship. It could be a lover, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, kid, colleague, friend, anyone. Now just put your energy on them for a second. Just put your energy on them. Do you have a judgment? Do you have an expectation? Do you have a projection of them? Every time you have a judgment and a projection and an expectation of someone or something, because it could be money, it could be business, it could be, so many different things. So every time you have a judgment, a projection, and an expectation of something or someone, what you create is a separation and a rejection of you and them. So you create this separation and it's like, wow, what's going on here? And then you try and control the situation. Does control ever work? I know you'd like to think it works, but does it ever work? So what if instead you put your attention on that person again? Okay, so all the projections, judgments, expectations that you have of that person, will you please destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine, shorts, boys, provids and beyonds. That's the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement. You can find out more about that at theclearingstatement.com. Now I want you to have your attention on that person and just be in allowance. No matter what they choose, it's okay. It's okay. You're not functioning from judgment. You're actually functioning from allowance. And allowance, do you notice it has like this really melting energy? There's no definitive, solid stuff going on there. It's just got this melty stuff where you're like, oh, if I was an allowance of my friend, then what would I choose? If I was an allowance of my husband, my wife, my partner, what would I choose? Oh, guess what? You'd have to be out of control. So allowance, being an allowance can give you so much freedom. I mean, isn't that actually what you're after? Freedom? Like this sense of peace, this sense of joy in the world? So what if you were in allowance of everything and everyone around you? Now, here's the thing. Being in allowance is like this, rock in the stream. It's like as you are in allowance, everything just gets to float past you. And it doesn't mean you don't care. It's like everything gets to float past you and you expand out and you have more allowance, you have more awareness, you start to receive more and more. And guess what? You get to be more and more with that because you're not all caught up in this crap, this trauma and drama, this telenovela, this Dios mío, any of that. You're not caught up in that. You're like, okay, this person's choosing this. Hey, what can I be for you today? Do you require something? Can I contribute to you? Not trying to save them, just can I contribute to you? And you're there like this wholeheartedly, you're there. But you're also in allowance of what they're choosing and you don't have an expectation. I mean, even if you're listening to this, can you sense the ease in your world? Oh yeah, and the mantra of Access Consciousness, all of life comes to us with ease, joy and glory. maybe that shows up a lot more as well. So we have a 30-day challenge of being an allowance, and we have a whole lot of Relationship Done Different facilitators who will be joining us. And we also have Gary Douglas. We have Dain Heer. It's like, wow, just for that alone, this is worth it. It's €2 a day. So for 30 days, it's €60. And 50% of that money is going to Actions for Futures as well. So it'll probably go towards El Lugar, the property in Costa Rica that we are developing, which is amazing. So, and we are going to talk about being an allowance of everything. Because the obvious is like, well, even being an allowance of you. Are you in allowance of you? Being an allowance of your body, your money, your business, your family, your friends, your colleagues, the earth, politics. Where are you not in allowance? And what if you could be in allowance and have a lot more freedom for you? And here's the thing, as you have a lot more freedom for you, you also have the capacity to contribute a lot more as you, because you being you is such a contribution to the planet. So what if you're an allowance of everything and everyone, and you had that yummy, melty energy around you, and you started finding out what's on the other side of no judgment and being in allowance. So please join us and all the Relationship Done Different facilitators, and we'll see you soon. Mwah.